Last week, warning about the imminent arrival of Hurricane Helen, the National Weather Service in Tallahassee, Florida, used the word unsurvivable. And yet the storm seemed to take much of the country by surprise. You might have thought, not that long ago, that the arrival of extreme weather could wake us up belatedly from climate complacency. But the dull drumbeat of disaster seems almost to be putting us to sleep instead. Even the imminent arrival of a cataclysm like Helen, a Category 4 storm that spanned more than 400 miles across the Gulf Coast and threatened communities as far north as Appalachia, was not enough to generate all that much attention ahead of time when more might have been done to limit the devastation. The storm has so far produced at least 100 deaths and perhaps $160 billion in damage, according to early estimates. In Florida's Big Bend region, Helen was the third hurricane to make landfall in barely a year, flattening beach towns and barrier islands and sending water into the attics of homes as far away as Tampa Bay. In several states to the north, locals from dozens of communities hundreds of miles from one another were calling the storm our Katrina, some of them watching whole homes or shiny cascades carried downstream, others clinging to tree branches for hours on end waiting for the waters to recede or help to arrive. In Tennessee, where was no emergency declared before hospital patients were evacuated from a rooftop by helicopter, and as of Saturday, across western North Carolina, hundreds of vulnerable power substations were still down, along with the infrastructure and power lines meant to actually deliver electricity and the vast majority of the world's supply of high-purity quartz, a necessary input for the production of semiconductors. Dozens of coal ash ponds holding billions of tons of toxic coal ash have likely been flooded as well. Cars and trucks were tossed around like toys. 40 trillion gallons of rain fell in total, the equivalent of one-third of the total volume of Lake Erie, enough to cover the entire state of Massachusetts in 23 feet of water. The intense rainfall was made over the last week, perhaps 50% more intense over parts of Georgia and the Carolinas by global warming. Other rapid assessments suggested it was perhaps only 20% more intense. Entire towns appear to have been turned into flotsam or pulverized into splinters, and few of those living in the hardest hit areas even carried flood insurance. In Asaphiel, NC, which sits hundreds of miles from the coastline and thousands of feet above sea level and is now the thorny ground zero of the storm, the national flood insurance program coverage rate was under 1%. Across the country, as many as 6 million more homes are at severe risk of flooding than are even included of the federal government's flood risk maps. Michael Thomas pointed out in the aftermath of the storm, across the Esophiles Buncombe County, 17 times as many homes had been judged at risk in a 100-year flood event as carried insurance against that risk. Helen was called a thousand-year flood for certain parts of the Southeast, though those terms grow less meaningful almost by the day. Another ostensible thousand-year storm had hit the coastal Carolinas just 1 week before. Sometimes worst-case scenarios really do come to pass, the climate scientist Daniel Swain wrote over the weekend on Sunday, and I think we often lack the collective imagination to fully envision what that looks like. Americans watching disaster footage from a distance collapsed bridge and disappeared roads as a file submerged by sludgy brown flood water. wondered how hurricanes might produce such devastation so far from shore and so high up in the mountains. They use the words unprecedented and unthinkable and grimly recall silly rankings of so-called climate heavens, often produced in partnerships with real estate brokers, which named Asophile as a top choice destination for those seeking safety from extreme weather. In conversation and on social media, they suggest, as they had with floods in Vermont and orange skies in New York last summer, that the lesson of Helen is that nowhere is safe from climate disaster. An essay bearing the headline, published in Politico, was presented by Saffron. The real reason may not be quite so grim, though it also demands more of us. To the extent we might enjoy safety and stability in a world ever more marked by climate impacts, it won't be casually circled heavens on maps, but because we built and designed them ourselves. Helen gives one vision of the future with the storms carrying a whole region and imposing perhaps a decade of recovery. But in truth, as extraordinary as its devastation might seem, this kind of flooding in this kind of setting was not unthinkable or, for that matter, even unprecedented. It happened in western North Carolina in 1916, and Hurricanes Camille 1969 and Agnes 1972 offered additional cautionary tales. For those with foreshortened memories, there was similarly spectacular flooding, nearly simultaneously in Kathmandu, Nepal, on the other side of the planet, where nearly 150 have died and landslides have flattened whole neighborhoods. After half a year's rain fell in 2 days in a city twice as high up in the mountains and twice as far from the coast as Asophiles. These days, even ubiquitous news stories produce some amount of lamentation that nobody is covering this, since everyone loves to post media criticism and in an endless scroll, it's easy enough to find sufficient strawmen. We hear a lot about social media's echo chamber, but its greatest trick is showing you stuff to get outraged about, including the apparent indifference or lack of interest of others. At first, over the weekend, word of Helen's devastation crisscrossed the country almost by whispers, in part because the few in position to observe the greatest damage firsthand, like cellular and internet connections with which to transmit their pictures, and in part because national media hadn't quite anticipated the scale of destruction and local media, though heroics, was only capable of so much. Soon enough, the storm claimed a foothold on the country's front page and in the national consciousness, but then it was hard to escape the impression that as natural disaster and extreme weather even fell up in our feeds, they are somewhat losing their salience as a cultural force, producing less a sense of ruptured reality than more quotidian disruption, even receding from view as a perverse consequence of ubiquitousness. Back-to-back hurricanes, thousand-year floods, the return of the urban firestorm. Many of these grim disasters seem to loom larger as horrifying long-term predictions than they do as actual weather events that are presently leaving whole populations devastated in their wake. As Helen's bloodletters reiterated, Liberal pointed to the threats to advance warning and disaster relief faced by Project 2025, emphasizing how uninterested in relief Donald Trump was a president. After Hurricane Matthew hit North Carolina, he released only 1% of state's requested relief, and he had hoped to cut the federal disaster response budget aggressively, proposing cuts to FEMA of more than 60%. Trump faulted President Biden for supposedly ignoring calls from Gov. Brian Kemp of Georgia last week, though Kemp, in fact, praised the president for his responsiveness, and across the political spectrum came criticism of state leaders and federal authorities, from those watching the humanitarian disaster in person or through their phones and wanting to pin responsibility for it on emergency response in action. The thing is, there was action. Disaster response is a jury-rigged patchwork, imperfect at best and deeply in need of reform. As the disasterologist Samantha Montano, among others, has emphasized, but the tragedy of Helen is not that nobody arrived in its wake to help, because people hate. The tragedy is that the storm did more and got the worst. The pattern is by now familiar, but the country has seemingly chosen not to be prepared as much as grow inured. Imminent, 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 imminent. Arrival, 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 arrival. Hurricane, 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 hurricane. National, 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 national. Category, 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 category. Evacuated, 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 evacuated. Infrastructure, 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 infrastructure. Area, 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 area. Operation, 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 operation. Intense, 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 intense. Disaster, 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 disaster. Warning, 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 warning. Storm, 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 storm. Response, 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 response. Threatened, 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 threatened. Insurance, 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 insurance. Collapse, 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 collapse. Attention, 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 attention. Threats, 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 threats. Project, 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 project. The national anthem was played before the game. She paid close attention to the teacher's instructions.